Today, we'll be looking at the pre-interview planning section. We'll be looking at the strategies you must develop. We'll be looking at the mechanisms you must put in place. And then you will have to decide the quality of time you will invest, because these factors are very important in demonstrating that indeed you have the skills, you have the capabilities. And so we'll be looking at some of the important strategies you must look at as you prepare for a major job interview. The first important strategy you must develop, the first important mechanisms you must put in place is to know yourself. Know yourself. I'll come to that. The second important factor or strategy is to study the organization. Study the organization. The third important factor is to study the position you have applied for. Study the position applied for. The fourth is to plan your time management. Plan your time. The fifth one, plan your appearance. And then the sixth one, understand your body language. So the moment the call comes through, inviting you for an interview, when it comes to the pre-interview planning session, these are the 6 important things you must do. This requires time. You must invest quality time with a view to assessing what these things are. So let's look at them one after the other. Know yourself. Have you realized that the moment you come out of school, you are referred to as a product of that institution? So why are you called a product? Why do people refer to you as a product? One of the things you must recognize is that when manufacturers come out with a product, what they do is that they develop a very strong marketing communication strategy on how to sell that product. So know who you are. Before you begin to sell yourself, first of all, you must recognize that you are made up of different components. Before you sell yourself, you must realize that you have been prepared to provide solutions. We'll look at what some of these things are into details when we get to know yourself. So it's one of the major strategies you must develop, because 50% of the questions to be asked in the interview room will revolve around yourself. Can you tell us about yourself? Can you give us one of your major weaknesses? Do you have a question to ask? What makes you the most appropriate person for the job? Why do you want to work with us? These are questions about yourself. So if you have not really sat down with a view to understanding who you are and what you possess, it will be very difficult to provide evidence of your suitability. Let's also look at study the organization. It will be very sad, unprofessional, to appear before a panel for an interview without having deeper understanding of the very organization you wish to work with. Because when you are invited into an interview room, one of the questions they will ask you is, why do you want to work with us? So the reason they will ask you why you want to work with us is because they want to find out what inspired you, what motivated you. And it has to do with what you identify about the organization. And so the second strategy you must develop is to find out, learn more about the organization, find out their corporate mission, find out their corporate vision, find out their core values, find out the achievements they've made, find out the awards they've won. And these are the things that will create an impression that indeed you know the very organization you wish to work with. Let's come to the third strategy. Like I did say, we'll be taking them one after the other and deal decisively with each of them. So looking at the position applied for, every single advertised vacancy you see out there will be asking applicants to apply for a particular position. Do you understand what the position entails? You are looking for the post of HR manager, finance officer. Do you really understand what that position entails? Ladies and gentlemen, before you apply for a particular position, there are a number of things you must understand about that particular position. The first of all, you must understand the duties and responsibilities that come with the position. You must understand the personal unique qualities the position requires. You must understand the challenges that comes with it, and then academic qualification. So you must take your time and study the position applied for before getting into the interview room. The fourth factor is time management. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share this with you. Anytime you get to the interview late, what it means is that you are making a very strong point to the employer that, look at me, I was late for the interview. So what it means that when you hire me, I will always be late for work. And what do you think the employer will say? That's the reason why employers will never hire you when you are late for the interview, because it means that you don't have respect for what you're coming to do. And so time planning is very important. That's why we have a whole subject we teach under time management. You must always understand. You must always appreciate the time. So the time you get to the interview is very significant. The first thing you are supposed to do is to get to the place at least 30 or 15 minutes before the time. When you get there 15 minutes before the time, it helps you to reorganize yourself, because the interview is a competition. You are going in with a strategist. So when you are able to sit down, it helps you to reorganize yourself. It helps you to put some of the strategies you've adopted in perspective. And then you can go out there and demonstrate that you are the most appropriate person for the job. And so when you are late, it becomes very difficult for you to organize yourself. The fifth is your appearance. Appearance convey significant non-verbal impression about you, yourself. Let me repeat. Appearance conveys significant non-verbal impression about you. The kind of appearance you put out for the interview will give an indication of your personality. That is why in life we have dress code for different occasions. We have dress code when you are going to the beach. We have dress code when you are going for a party. You have dress code when you are going for a business meeting. You have a dress code when you are going for job interview. Every organization has what we call organizational culture. And embedded in the organizational culture is the dress code. So what you're supposed to do is to understand the dress code. And so the last one, understand your body language. Body language is also very significant. Extremely significant. When you get into the interview room, you must wait to be offered a seat. So when you got into the interview room, quickly you pulled out the chair and you sat on it. What it means that you are giving the wrong signal. When the interview is asking you questions and you are unable to maintain eye contact, it means you lack confidence. You go to the interview room, the interviewer must invite you, must stretch forth his hand for a handshake. You are not supposed to initiate the handshake. These are fundamental courtesies that can derail your strategy. Now, this is the summary I want you to appreciate. When you look at these three important areas, job interview is all about communication. And there are two types of communication. We have the oral communication. Oral communication makes use of words. And so questions about yourself, questions about the organization, questions about the position, you will have to use words to answer. So we call them oral presentation, because you are using words to answer. So when they ask you, can you introduce yourself? You use words to answer. When they ask you, why do you want to work with us? You use words to answer. When they ask you, can you give us an understanding of the position you've applied for? You use words to answer. And so the last three is made up of plan your time, plan your appearance, understand your body language. Send a very strong signal about you. That is why we call them non-verbal presentation. So, communication, we have the verbal and non-verbal. You dress inappropriately for the interview. It's a signal you are sending. If you do not understand your body language, it's a signal you are sending. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the 6 important strategies you must sit down, understand what they are before you step out there. God willing, next week, we'll start looking at them one after the other so that we will deal decisively with each and every one of them. Thank you very much and hope to see you next week.